This is no. I lost my train of thought there. It keeps on sliding. This dust jacket. I'm just gonna take it off, guys. I'm just gonna hold it sideways. Apart from Claire Legrand, who twisted my heart out today. Hello lovely bookworms, I'm Esmay from Paradise of Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and welcome to a new video. As you can already see from the title, we're going to be doing a review today, and today we're going to be doing a review of Kingsbane by Claire Legrand. I actually reviewed Reborn in 2018, I believe, and I thought it was only fair to also do the sequel, which is Kingsbane. I recently finished it, or at least recently finished it by the time that I'm making this video. I have no idea when this is going to be online, so please bear with me. That said, I also think I'm at some point going to take off the dust jacket because it's very loose. It keeps on sliding. Also, something I want to mention is that this is not going to be a spoiler-free review. I will have a spoiler-free part where I will talk about what I actually thought of the book without spoiling the details, and I will also talk about Reborn a little bit. But other than that, there's not going to be any spoilers in the first part of the video, and then when we get to the spoilery part, I will obviously let you guys know. So if you still want to read the book and not know what's going to happen, you can click away and come back by the time you finish the book and see if your opinion correlates with mine. That said, let's just get started. So before I actually get into my thoughts on Kingsbane, I wanted to quickly grab Reborn. I'll hold this up because this one doesn't slide, which is better, and quickly talk about what this book is about. So in this book, we have two main protagonists. We have Riel and we have Eliana, and both of them are over 1,000 years apart, and the first one is Riel. She lives in the past, and basically she is forced to reveal all of her powers when saving one of her best friends, and she is basically turned into some kind of myth. And for Eliana, who lives 1,000 years later, she discovers that she has some kind of power, and that's basically where their story takes off. It is very, very difficult to grasp at first. Talking about synopsises for books, this is pretty difficult to actually explain. Same thing goes with Kingsbane, but we're going to attempt it anyway. But basically, you look between these two characters, and that is something that I really, really liked. So that is Reborn. So let's quickly move on to the second book without spoilers yet. Then for Kingsbane, this one immediately follows Reborn, and there's no time differences between the two timelines. So basically we're following the same timelines from both characters still, but they're still 1,000 years apart. And we follow their journeys and their sort of backstory and what is happening. What I did really like with this book, but also with the first one, is that you're trying to figure out what happened in the past. So during Riel's time, that sort of transpired into the present that Eliana is now living in. So it's very clear that whatever happened with Riel shaped the future, and it's very interesting to see how that changes. If you've seen my review, which you probably haven't, and please don't watch it, you know that I gave Reborn 5 stars. It's the same thing with Kingsbane. Kingsbane was absolutely amazing. I think I liked it even more than Reborn, and I still have to say that Riel is my favorite out of the two. That said, which I found very, very weird, is that during the first book, I really had a preference for Riel throughout the entire story, and I was way more interested in her point of view than Eliana's point of view. But in this one, I'm trying to hold this thing up without the dust jacket sliding off. With this one, I actually had a lot of parts in the book where I was just as excited for Eliana's point of view, if not more excited than Riel's, which was very weird for me because I always liked Riel more. That said, I didn't like all of the character development for Riel, but I did really like everything that Eliana did. I'm not going to be going into details here because of spoilers. Also, I think the story is very, very well written. It goes together so well. This dust jacket, I'm just going to take it off, guys. I'm just going to hold it sideways. I cannot handle that, so you can now look at the spine. Sorry about that. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought there. I'm just going to continue on with the first thing that pops into my head. Hopefully it's sort of a continuation of what I had just said. Something I also really, really liked, yet also really hurt me, was the ending. The ending of the book was so well written. I loved the way in which everything sort of linked but didn't. And throughout the book, you're very scared of multiple things. Some of them happen at the end, but some of them you definitely don't see them coming. That said, I don't think I can say a lot more about anything in this book without spoiling it, so I think this is going to be the end of the spoiler-free part. If you don't want to know anything, get out of here. I will see you later once you finish the book. Please don't wait as long as I did, guys. It's very, very, very good, so please don't wait that long. So, I'm going to give you one more warning. Get out now. Okay, so let's start with the spoiler part of this book. So, basically what this book is about is a continuation of book 1. So, we're following Riel in her quest to sort of stop Corinne? I'm just going to call him Corinne, the sort of main angel. So basically we follow Riel and her companions Audric and Ludovan. With the three of them, they have to find multiple relics to save the gate, which is becoming more and more damaged. She does so multiple ways, but throughout the story the main thread is also the fact that she is not as pure and good as most characters are. She is really well written, and I think that the sort of struggle within her between good and bad is really true and real for the, a fictional world. That said, with Eliana, she's just discovered her powers, and Simon, which is one of her companions, really wants her to work on that power and be able to go back in time to her mother, to Riel, and stop her and make sure that Corinne is stopped and the gate is saved as well. So that's basically Eliana's part. Throughout the book, that is a main part of her, but also what I liked about this is that Eliana really doesn't want powers. She doesn't want to be special, she doesn't want to save the kingdom, she just wants to stay in her little corner of the world and live, just survive. She doesn't want to be a hero. And I really liked how that transpired, and she very much stands behind the things that she wants. Then, before I get into anything else, I really liked how they at one point link together. So basically, Simon's magic is to create threads, and that means that I think his father is human and then his mother was an angel, something along those lines, so he's like a hybrid. And at one point in the book, he basically gets Eliana back in time to meet her mother. And that really was well written, because I was very scared that this book would basically just acknowledge everything and make it too easy, to the sense where Eliana would go back in time, Riel would be like, oh right, you're my daughter, I believe you, I'm not gonna be good. Which she didn't. She actually attacked Eliana, and it seemed very, very real, and I really liked that. That said, I think I'm gonna start with the ending on Riel's part. So Riel really struggles with her internal feelings. She loves Audric, she really does, but a weird, twisted side of her knows that she also loves Corinne, even though she is trying to push him away and do the good thing. But sometimes it's, good to be bad. And when it becomes known that Riel actually killed the king, and I believe also her own father in book 1, Audric realizes this. He gets so angry that Riel flees and joins with Corinne. She basically turned evil, or as much as the book tells you. It was just so well done, and I can't really wrap my head around what happened yet, because it's 2 days ago that I finished it, and I don't know how this is going to continue. I really, really, really loved it, and it was so well done. Then moving on to Eliana's ending of this book, that one was painful. I thought Riel's was painful, with her connection to Audric being severed just after they got married. Forgot to mention that. They just got married and then everything went haywire. Eliana's might have been worse. So throughout the book, she is sort of fidgeting around Simon, and they both know that they have a chemistry. They're connected to one another. This sort of comes to an all-time high. That's a weird... I could have said climax, because that's what it is. There's a full-fledged sex scene in here, and I can really appreciate that from time to time. It was well written. I loved their connection, even though it was a little bit too good to be true. Oh, we're soulmates. Oh, we belong together. That doesn't happen in the real world. At least, not that I know of. Anyway, it's pretty okay for a book. So, that said, they had very elaborate sex multiple times, and then this sort of link with the past and present happens, so Eliana goes back in time to Riel, then comes back and that basically alters multiple things. One of the characters in the present disappears. She's no longer with the so-called good guys, or the revolution, or whatever you want to call them. And something happened to Simon, you find out at the end. Because Simon, now all of a sudden, turns Empire and takes Eliana away, betrays her, and that's where the book ends. I do not believe that Simon is bad. I don't want to believe it. No. Simon is my baby. I used to love Audric a lot more, but now Simon is like my main bae here. And what was that ending? If you know, please explain. I'm pretty sure no one will understand, apart from Claire Legrand, who twisted my heart out today. That ending was really well written. I didn't see it coming. I still have the hope that it's all like fake and Simon's still trying to protect Eliana, because that connection, like, the way it's written, it needs to be real, okay? Otherwise, I've lost all faith in love. That said, those were the endings, and I think the way in which the story sort of progresses and goes up to it's really well done. I really loved the connections here and there, the extra characters. There was no character where I thought, okay, get out, I hate you. And I love how real it is. Like, for example, Audric's mum really hates Riel because she thinks she's a monster, and it really shows. It's not like, oh, I'll know my daughter-in-law and we'll become fast friends. No, nothing like that. She hates Riel to the core for being, and I don't think it's ever going to change. Same thing goes for, like, Eliana. Her little brother figures out that she killed their mum, or at least their non-biological mum, and he's very angry with her, and that really takes time, and I loved reading that as well. It's just very, very real, to the sense where I feel like it's well done. It's just a well-written story. For the pace, I do have to say that I couldn't really get into it in the beginning. I think that was more my fault with waiting so long with this book, because some of the things I'd forgotten, and I was too stubborn to go back to Reborn first, because I wanted to know what happened in this one. But eventually I caught up, and I think I read like 400 or like 350 pages in one sitting, so that says enough. Also, something I really like is just in general the setup for the next book, because you know that something is gonna go wrong again, and you also know that some things are going to be resolved, and I'm very excited to see that. I think in conclusion I can say that this is a definite 5-star read for me. At first I thought it would be 3 or 4 when I started and couldn't get into it, but definitely 5 stars, as I had already predicted. That said, I think that is most of the things I wanted to say about this book. I'm just very, very curious to see what is going to happen in the final one. I want to know how this all wraps up, and if I can recommend a book to you, go read Reborn and go read Kingsbane, because they're really good. Okay, so I think that is everything for this review. I know it's a little bit all over the place, because usually I go from subgenre to subgenre within a review where I talk about like characters, world, pace, whatever. I think I did that like interchangeably today because my brain is fried after this book. That said, I also sobbed a solid like 5 minutes after I finished it, which usually means that it's really good, because I need to feel something to be able to cry over a book. Also, that said, if you have read it, please just reach out to me. I need to talk about this. I need to sort of talk about my feelings here, and hopefully you've enjoyed this review. If you stayed up until the end, thank you guys so much for watching. Also, if you are new here, please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so you get post notifications every single time that we post, and I will see you guys the next time.